We're finally back home in my own space, and I got to pull off my pretty books for today's video. So I got a comment on, so I had uploaded my favorite standalones of all time video last week, right? I don't know when this video is going up, whatever. I recently got a comment and it was asking for standalone dark romance recommendations. And if this is my first video of yours that you are watching, I feel like a lot of you guys come here for dark, forbidden, and taboo romances. That's kind of what I feel like I'm known for a little bit on here. And I have made so many dark romance recommendation videos, but I've never made one specifically that only features standalones before. So I went through my stacks, I went through my reading journal, so I think I have like 9 or 10 standalone romances today. One and done, one shot. There is one that I cheated on. It is technically the first in a duet. However, it's just the second book is following other characters that you kind of see, but like that story is fully and completely done in that one book, so I'm kind of cheating a little bit, but it's also one of my all-time favorite books and I want to include it in here. So I'll warn you when it's that one that yes, technically I know it's not a complete standalone, but I don't care. So anyways, let's go ahead and jump right on in. What do I want to talk about first? I have so many good ones sitting here. Should I start off with the darkest? And this was also included in my favorite standalones of all time, Take Me With You by Nina G. Jones. This is the darkest book that I have on this list right here, so you've been warned, obviously, with all of these books in this video. Check your trigger warnings. This one follows Sam and Vesper. So Vesper is living her life. She has a job. She has like a steady job, a steady boyfriend. She is a caretaker for her younger sibling who is disabled because she has an absentee mother, and she basically just has, you know, her day-to-day life kind of down, and she's starting to kind of be like, is this it? Which I'm like, girl, I feel you, because right now I feel like I'm having a quarter-life crisis, and I'm like, is this it? I don't want what happens to her to happen to me, but she's kind of having those thoughts, and she starts feeling these eyes watching her, and she starts wondering, like, what if these eyes came and like took me away from my life, you know, like took me away from everything. Well, little does she know that is Sam, our hero, who is not a hero in this book whatsoever. He is a serial criminal, and what he does basically is he breaks into couples' homes, he terrorizes them for an entire night, and he moves on, and that's kind of his MO. And he ends up spotting Vesper, becomes interested in her, attempts to do the same thing to her and her boyfriend. However, things don't go to plan because he didn't account for her having a younger sibling, and things kind of go haywire, and he doesn't really know what to do about it. And in order to kind of save everyone else around her, Vesper begs Sam to take her with him and to become his captive, and he ends up doing that. He's never done that before, and he doesn't really know what to do with her when she arrives, but also he knows that he can't let her go, and it does end up being a captor-captive romance. And let me tell you, this is the biggest Stockholm Syndrome captor-captive book I've ever read in my entire life. I don't know how I was actually rooting for these two characters to make it in the end, because Sam is not a good person whatsoever, but yet I was rooting for them. It's gonna make you question things as you're reading it. It's one that genuinely stuck with me, has still stuck with me to this day. As I said before, I included it in my all-time favorite standalones because it truly is. And yeah, if you are really looking for a really dark, messed up book, here you go. Next up, one of my favorites that I read this year, also one of my favorite covers, The Fabric of Our Souls by K.M. Morinova. So this one follows Wynn and Liam, right? Yes. Anyways, so this one basically starts where Wynn, our heroine, she wakes up in a hospital bed and realizes that she was unsuccessful in her attempt to take her life, and her brother is there sobbing over her, and she's kind of like, this was not the outcome that I wanted. She is just very sad. She's very over it. She's exhausted, quite frankly, and her brother is like, I can't let you leave me. We're kind of all that each other has, so I'm having you sent to this one like mental hospital type institution, but it's very loosey-goosey. It's a very like interesting mental hospital, mental patient place. I don't know, it's just not like traditional in any ways. And when she arrives there, she meets Liam, who is her roommate. So obviously, yeah, her rooming with a dude there too is kind of like interesting. Okay, whatever. But when she arrives, she's like, hey, what are you doing here? You were my nurse back at the hospital. Like, how are you both? And he's like, yeah, I sneak out and things like that. But the thing that really draws these two together, not only is them being roommates and both in the same hospital, but also the fact that Liam craves life. Like, he feels nothing and he like craves feeling something, and he hates that Wynn can feel things and like doesn't want to, and that she craves death, and like she wants that above all else, he wants life, and that really like draws the two of them together. There's some like thriller-ish kind of like mystery. I'd say it's more like mystery. I think this is advertised as a thriller. Me personally, I kind of felt it was more like mystery-esque. There's some secrets with this hospital, obviously with the backstories of these characters. I loved this one. I thought the writing was beautiful. Siri, I'm not talking to you. Go away. Sorry, I should have been nicer, because when AI takes over everything, I don't want them to think of me as a bitch already. Anyways, I really loved this one. Really beautiful. Loved the connection between these two, and really loved K.M. Morinova's writing in this one as well. So anyways, and also this is on Goodreads as a standalone. I do think there is a spin-off of another character that might be getting a book down the line, but I'm going off of Goodreads. This does not have the little like parentheses after with like a series page. So I'm including it as a standalone, and also because I don't think that other book is out, or it's not advertised as being like a duet or anything. So I use Goodreads as kind of like my deciding judge when I'm deciding what's a standalone and what's not. Now this one has a prequel novella that you could read with it. I did not read it before I read this book, and honestly, I don't really think you need to read it at all. It's called King of Libertines, but Sea of Ruin by Pam Godwin is the main book. This is also my beautiful Mystic copy that I wanted to pull out to be able to show off, because and get some good artwork in here. So this is a dark standalone pirate romance. So our heroine in this one, it's Sir Ashley Cutler, it's Priest, and what is her name? Benedict, right? Is that it, Benedict? I don't know. And honestly, it doesn't really matter for the purposes of this video. Our heroine in this one, her mother is basically trying to raise her up to be this like society type debutante, and she just doesn't want that. She doesn't want that life. And when her mom attempts to basically marry her off, to kind of like sell her off a little bit to this older wealthy man to kind of improve their station in society, she's like, absolutely not, I don't want that. She's like, I want to go be with my dad, who is like very absentee because he is a pirate, but she just really admires him. And basically she ends up running away, and when then tragedy strikes, she ends up staying away. And then we jump ahead to the future where she now has her own ship, she has her own crew, she's this pirate, this successful pirate roaming around the seas, what have you. All of that kind of goes south when she ends up being kidnapped by a pirate hunter, Lord Ashley Cutler, and taken captive on his ship. And there is a third character that comes into the mix that I don't really know how to incorporate him right here, so I'll just let you to read to see how Priest also comes into the mix, and how things unfold in this one. I love it. Y'all know with Pam Godwin's books, they get dark, they get twisty, but they're so good. Her writing's beautiful. I loved all three of these characters in here. And like I said, there is a prequel novella. I didn't read that before I read this, though. I read it after, and like, I don't really think you like need to read it before. So, I mean, if you want to, you do whatever you want, at least that you have the information. But I think you can jump straight into this one. It's so fun. Next up, I have a this was released this year. It's a dark sapphic academia romance, and that is Serpentine Valentine by Gianna Darling. So this one follows Lex and Luna. So Lex is a college, well, they're both college students, but Lex was on scholarship at this university. She's incredibly smart, really, really cares about her academics, and has worked really, really hard to get where she is, because she didn't really have the family support behind her. She has a found family in this book, but like to get her where she needed to be, she didn't really have that support, and she's just really focused on her academics. And when she arrives at university, she ends up meeting this one professor that, again, they kind of connect on like an intellectual level, even though she tells him multiple times like, I'm not interested in you, trust me, you are not my type, my dude. And he does not take no for an answer, basically takes advantage of her. And in chapter 2, obviously there are trigger warnings, but Gianna Darling even says you could skip chapter 2, I think it's chapter 2, if you need to. He drugs and assaults her, and then basically leaves her out in the woods for dead. And she is not going to take that. She ends up coming back and accuses him, and no one believes her. Not the head of the university, not other professors. He's like, you can't keep me from my education. Like, you could do this to me and say that I'm a liar, but you can't keep me from getting my education. And when she comes back with a plan, because this campus is just too lax on men getting away with things that they should not be able to get away with. And she also wants her revenge not only on the professor, but on everyone who turned their back on her. And one of the ways that she can do that is by seducing Luna, who is the the president of the university, one of the women who turned her back on Lex, her daughter. And she sets out to basically seduce her and kind of mess with her as part of her plan. I really love this one. Honestly, I could have used even more of Lex and Luna. Like, I think this book could have been like another 100 pages. I would have loved more time with them, but I really enjoyed this one as a standalone. Gianna Darling's writing is absolutely beautiful as always. I love Lex and Luna's connection. I love Lex's revenge. I really love it. Also, the cover's stunning. Next up, we have Sin and Discipline by Lily White. So this one is a dark student teacher book. So it gives me very similar Dark Notes vibes by Pam Godwin. So if you've read that book and you loved it, then definitely check out Sin and Discipline, because this is another piano student and teacher romance, except in this one, our heroine, Lennon, right? So she basically first meets our hero. Oh, what is his name? Oh, Amelia. Wait, what? Oh, his name's Lennon. Oh my God, I got that confused. Okay, Lennon and Amelia. Basically, Amelia, she is kind of doing some shady things in order to just stay alive. She does not have a good home life for reasons that you will find out as you read this. And basically her brother puts her up to some very unsavory things in order to kind of keep them afloat, even though she really doesn't want any part of it. And the first time that she actually ends up meeting Lennon, our hero, is when she tries to steal from him, and he ends up catching her and like pinning her to a wall, and he's like, excuse me, what are you doing? Kind of have this whole interaction, whatever, and then first day of classes, so he's back. He's a very successful musician, and he's back to judge like this music competition with this scholarship program that Amelia is competing for, and he finds out then that she is one of his students, and he's like, okay, you are clearly very talented. What are you doing like on the streets trying to pickpocket people? Like, you don't need to be doing that. And kind of takes her under his wing in multiple ways, like mentors her, and then also tries to just pull her out of the life that she's in, while also then their romance blooms. I loved this book so much. I'd say definitely in terms of the books that I have here today, it's one of the lighter dark ones. I'd say it's definitely darker more so for kind of like the circumstances that Lennon has been in. If you're dipping your toe into dark romance or want something with a little bit of edge, but don't want something that's like kind of gonna be like gloomy doomy for you, check this one out. Okay, let's go with, so I've already talked about this one a lot. Again, this was in my favorite standalone, so I'm gonna kind of like not go super in depth with this one, but That's Sick Love by Jessie Hall. I've talked about this book a lot. I absolutely love it. It's a dark stalker cult romance. So Brienne, our heroine, she has been born and raised in this cult and is still very much drinking the Kool-Aid, and she's actually getting ready to ascend to a leadership position that she's really excited about, because she's a woman in this cult. They don't really reach that level of power, but there is a reason that women don't really reach that level of power, and she starts getting these notes and these messages from a stalker who is Arrow, our hero. I won't say anything about his backstory. You got to read it to find out about that, but he's basically trying to warn her away that everything that she thinks and believes is not the reality of the situation, and she's actually in danger, and he's trying to warn her and try to get her out, and she takes a long time to kind of disentangle that, but it ends up being their romance. Listen here, Arrow, oh, he's a top book boyfriend for me. I love him. I love the way that he pushes Brienne. She has a lot of deconstructing to do, and watching her do that and realize how strong of a person she is, and that she is so capable of things that she never would have thought she would be able to do outside of the cult or on her own. Oh, it's so good. Love the two of them. He's also masked, or like he wears face paint a lot. Oh, he's so hot. Anyways, I talk about this book a lot. Definitely darker, but dark cults, which is fun. And actually, let's talk about the other culty one. I have a dark sapphic romance vibe by Liza James. This is technically the one where I'm like, it's not technically a standalone, because Hush is the second book in the Pandora's Box duet. However, Aura and Ruby's story is complete in this one, and I don't really feel like there's any lingering cliffhangers that would necessarily make you feel like this couldn't just be read as a complete standalone. So Ruby is a dancer at this one club, and she is not there because she loves it. She's there because she is on the run. Aura, she was born and raised into a cult, and she has escaped, and now she's trying to just figure out her life on her own. She has a photography business, she has a boyfriend, she has some friends, and she's just trying to kind of make her life for herself. And one night she ends up going out with her boyfriend and friends to this club, and that is where she locks eyes with Ruby. And instantly the two of these kind of have a connection, but obviously they cannot be together. But Ruby instantly is like, oh, Aura, you are not living at all. Like, you think that you're living because you're on the run here, like you've escaped from things, but are you actually living? Are you actually happy? And really challenges her. And I'm scared of giving away anything more. I will just say these two are soulmates. They are a soulmate couple for me. I felt their connection from like the first time that they saw each other. I felt it throughout the entire book. The love that these two have for each other. Liza James's writing is one of my favorites. It's so beautiful. I love everything about this book. It is one of my all-time favorites, and that's why I'm like, even though I'm kind of cheating a little bit, including it as a standalone, I don't care. It's my video. I'm gonna include it anyways, and more people need to read this book because it is so fucking good. Okay, we are down to our last two. So I'll do my last physical one, and then the last one is one that I don't have. Still Beating by Jennifer Hartman. Listen, I know this is a very popular book, but it's popular for a reason, and I love it forever and always. So this one follows, oh my gosh, why am I completely blanking on their names? Cora and Dean. It's a sister's fiance forbidden romance, and obviously very dark because they end up in circumstances that are horrifying to have to live through. So one night they are out celebrating, I think it's Cora's sister's birthday, so Dean's fiance's birthday. They're out at a bar, and basically Cora and Dean have just always hated each other. Dean has been with the sister for a long time, and they all went to like high school together, but now they're grown, they're adults, whatever. And Cora, they genuinely hate each other. They don't like being around each other whatsoever, and basically at this bar they're bickering, whatever. Everyone leaves, and Cora's kind of miserable, so she's like, I'm gonna stick around and have another drink. Like, I don't want to leave just yet. However, then at the end of the night, she has no way to get home, and no one else is picking up the phone, so she ends up calling Dean, and he reluctantly comes to get her. However, then when they are driving home, they are run off the road and they are kidnapped. And when they wake up, they are chained in a basement of a madman, basically, who he likes to kidnap people, make them fall in love, and then torture them until he decides that he wants to go get new toys, basically. It's very dark, very messed up. The things that these two go through together, horrible, horrendous, but seeing the bond that is formed between them and then how they navigate that, because they did hate each other. He's engaged to her sister. How do you even function after everything that they've been through? Oh, it's forever and always a favorite dark romance of mine, but very, very emotionally heavy. But these two, I want all the good things for Cora and Dean. And last but not least is one that I read this year, For the Love of Cain by, oh my gosh, I didn't write down who this is by. Ames Mills. I was like, why am I blanking on that? So this one is an MMMM. I think it's advertised as like Why I Choose, but they're all like kind of together. And it's a bodyguard romance and also mafia romance as well. So Cain is kind of like one of our main characters, and he is the head of a certain branch of mafia. I don't remember, maybe Russian. I can't remember. He's in the mafia, and he has this bodyguard, Blaze. And basically the two of them used to kind of like be together a little bit, but now they're not because Blaze has another partner, and Cain was kind of like, I don't want to overstep with that. So basically Cain ends up going out to this one charity event one night, meets this guy, brings him back home. They have a great night, and then kind of it ends up being his romance with him, Blaze and the other guy's romance, all their romances together, what have you. But then some of the overarching plot things is basically, so Cain is the head of the mafia, but he has the police breathing down his back, and he has a mole within his ranks that he is trying to suss out and is trying to take him down. And I would say, again, this one is more dark just because, again, it's like set in a mafia world, so there's obviously like killing and kidnapping and blackmailing and all of that stuff. But I'd say overall the tone of it is not super dark, but definitely, I would still say, leans into dark romance. But yeah. Okay, that is all of the dark romance standalones that I wanted to talk about today for you guys. So thank you again to whoever commented on my video, like asking for this, because that was a great idea, and that was an easy one today to be like, oh, yeah, I can do that. And also because I haven't done a dark romance recommendation video in a while. So anyways, that is it for today's video. I think next week I'm going to be doing my favorite series of all time on one of the days, and depending on if I can get another student teacher book read, I'm close to being able to give you guys another student teacher book rec video. So we will see. Stuff will be up when it'll be up. So anyways, that is it for today's video, and I will see you when I see ya.